Hey everyone, let's jump into our video about operators and expressions. As you can see, I have Visual Studio pulled up with our boilerplate code at the ready. I'm gonna delete this line. I'm gonna start a comment and put in the expression 2 plus 2. So I think this is a good place to start off when talking about operators and expressions, because this is a very simple expression, actually, that everybody's familiar with. So let's start off with a couple definitions. To start off, let's talk about this plus sign or this addition operator. We can start off with defining what an operator is. And an operator is a symbol that tells the computer to perform a specific mathematical, I'm going to start a new line here, or logical task. So in this line here, the addition sign or the plus sign is an operator. Now let's define these two twos. We call those operands. And an operand is a value that an operator works on. So we have a operator that works on two operands. And the entirety of this line is called an expression. So let's define that really quick. Expression is a combination of values or operands and operators that results in I'll start a new line, in a single value. So something I'd like you to pay attention to is the second part of this sentence, which is that result in a single value. So an expression always boils down to one value at the end. In this case, it's the value of 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. So the expression results in the single value of 4. So let's talk about some other expressions. We'll just do some very basic ones. So we'll do 5 minus 3. So this expression, we have an operand of 5, an operator of the subtraction operator, and then an operand of 3. So this results in 2. Start a new line. We'll do 4 times 8. So we have the operand of 4, the operator of a multiplication, and the operand of 8, and that results in 32. We'll do 9 divided by 3. Oops. And we have the operand of 9, the operator of the division sign, and an operand of 3 results in 3. Okay, so you can kind of see the pattern here, right? And these can get more complex, and we'll talk about more complex ones later. But something I'd like to talk about now is, we'll go back to this 2 plus 2 example that we have up here. So I'd like to substitute b here. Now, obviously, this doesn't make any sense, right? We can't do 2 plus b. And so why can't we do this? It's like so simple that it might actually be, it's hard to describe why we can't do it, because it's so simple and seems so obviously wrong, right? So to break it down, the reason that we can't do this is that this plus sign operator needs 2 operands of the same type, right? So obviously 2 is a number and b is a letter. We can't add these two things together because they're of different types. So I want you to keep that in mind, because in our previous video on variables, we talked about how types have to match. So if you remember, in our previous video on variables, we had a string named name, and we gave it the value of Pete. And I believe in that video, I tried to assign the value of name to have an integer value. I forget what the integer value is, but let's try 2. So you can see that we have a little red squiggly line here. So here we have an error, and we have a little red squiggly line, and we have this description about the error. So I'm going to click on it now, and it says change local variable type. So what it's saying here is that we can't have the type of string hold a value of 2. So we have to change it to a string. We talked about this earlier. But that's because this operator here is an assignment operator. So this is just in the way that this is an addition operator, this is a subtraction operator, a multiplication operator, a division operator. In C#, we have operators as well that do things. In this case, it's an assignment operator. And just like how this plus sign needs to have an operand of a number and a number, just how this plus sign needs to have 2 operands that match, this assignment operator needs to have 2 types that match, right? In the same exact way. So this was kind of a short introduction on operators and operands and expressions. In the next few videos, we'll get more in-depth on the different types of operators and the different types of values that they can take, because some operators, like this one right here, take 2 parameters, like the plus sign. This takes 2 operands. There are other operators that only take 1 operand, and we'll get into all that later. But for now, thanks for watching this, and be sure to remember these 3 definitions because they're very important.